where actually is a woman's G spot?
Well, it's actually right under. If you go up and under, right, it's sort of the
But
it's
I
like the
think
roof of the mouth.
I think you know where I'm going.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Come On Man. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. Drop a comment. Any comment will do. Your favorite emoji. It doesn't matter. If you guys are listening on your favorite audio platform, give us a 5-star review. It helps more than you know. I'm going to keep it really simple this week. Guys, get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com. Get your PDF with 20 dating app openers that are guaranteed to capture a woman's attention in the first 7 words. And I'll also mail you some stickers. On top of that, if you guys like those stickers, they're also available on merch.comeonmanpod.com. You can also get Rule Zero stuff there as well if you're a Rule Zero fan. This week, guys, my guest is the Huds, the Hudsman. He's back on the podcast. He's a dating coach. I had him on the podcast a couple months ago now, but he has a new ebook available on starting a conversation on dating apps. The first text, how to get a girl's attention and how to get that conversation started, right? Which goes hand in hand with the 20 dating app openers that I have. So I thought it was going to be a really good collaboration to have him come on board and talk about that. Talk about the art of getting women engaged on dating apps. And his ebook is really good. It's real short. It's only about 25 pages. And it breaks it down into a science, right? The different ways that you could start a conversation on a dating app. And he's got them rated by like difficulty level, what kind of effort it takes to start this kind of a conversation using this type of opener. It's pretty interesting. And we break it all down for you. This conversation lasted about a full hour. So we were able to drag this conversation out about getting conversations going on dating apps. If you guys are getting matches, but you're just not getting conversations going and you're not able to get dates after matching with chicks, this is your episode, guys, okay? So I'll bring you that conversation with the Hudsman, right after these words. Are you struggling to find a good quality woman? They are very rare indeed these days. If you spend any time at all watching content in the men's podcast space, or you spend time on dating apps or going out to clubs, you're seeing low quality, promiscuous women. You're finding women with daddy issues and personality disorders, or a myriad of other red flags, and you are frustrated. I get it, brother, but what if I were to tell you that the reason why you're only seeing these types of women is because of your mindset, because of your paradigm? We get what we focus on in life, and you have trained your mind to focus on the type of women that you don't want. So those are the types of women that keep showing up for you again and again. Let's change that mindset today. If you're a guy looking to attract high-quality, submissive women into your life, then I've got the perfect solution for you. And let me tell you, brother, it's all about mindset. That's right, you've got to reprogram your thinking to focus on the type of women you do want. That's where my Practical Law of Attraction course comes in. It's packed with proven psychology-based techniques that will help you manifest your dream woman. Trust me, you won't find this stuff anywhere else. Explained in such a simple, easy-to-use way. And let me tell you, when you start using these methods, you'll be amazed at how quickly things start changing for you. Picture this, you're out on the town, feeling confident and magnetic. All the women are drawn to you like moth to a flame. And best of all, you're attracting the type of women that are submissive and high quality. It's not that they weren't there before, it's that you weren't aware of them before. My course will teach you how to be more hyper aware of the kind of women that you actually want. It will teach you to believe that you're the most attractive man around. And when you believe it, you'll carry yourself that way. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for my course today. Visit loa.comeonmanpod.com. That's loa.comeonmanpod.com. Start living the life you've always dreamed of. Don't miss out on this opportunity to up your game and find the woman of your dreams. The law of attraction is nothing without action. So what are you waiting for? Act now. All right, returning to the podcast, my man Huds. He's a dating coach out of the East Coast, and he has an ebook available on how to spark conversations over dating apps. It's called The First Text, How to Spark a Conversation on Dating Apps. I, too, offer a PDF with dating app openers, and I thought this would be the perfect way to collaborate. What's going on, man?
Dude, happy to be back. Love seeing all the stuff you've been doing. Absolutely fantastic. Just bringing the information out there to the guys. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. I was telling you, I was just doing a show the other day with a female dating coach, and we were going over some of the openers that I talk about. And she was explaining, she was essentially saying the same thing and explaining why it works, sparking that emotional reaction and moving things forward.
Yeah, a lot of guys don't realize that there's a method to the madness. Some guys get upset that they have to play these games, and I'm like, man, you got to change your mindset about this, because games are supposed to be fun, and really it's all about being more engaging. Don't be a boring piece of crap, because you got to set yourself apart on dating apps. It's a competitive market.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it was interesting as well when we were having that discussion in the live chat. There were some people that were commenting and saying, like, things aren't really going anywhere. And then as we were diving deeper into it, they were saying, well, I typically open with, hey, what's up? How are you doing? Mm-hmm. There's a reason why you're not getting responses.
I have a question about that, though, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So your ebook, it opens up with a scenario of a guy who has a killer profile. And this is what I tell guys. Dating apps comes down to 4 things, basically. Your profile pictures, your bio, how well you open, and how well you close. And if you're not getting matches, it's because your profile pictures suck, right? And a little bit of it is your bio. You might have killer pictures, and if your bio is super negative, you're not going to get matches that way too. But if you're not even getting matches, go get some good pictures done. Then you'll probably start getting matches, and that's where this stuff comes in, where you need to open and be able to banter a little bit, and then be able to close on a date, or you like to get girls straight back to your place for the hibbity-dibbity. But whatever you want to do, whatever your goal is, you need to be able to close and close efficiently, right? So, but you can't get there, can't close if you don't open and don't get a conversation going, right? So your book opens up with a guy who has a killer profile. So obviously he gets a match. This girl's smoking hot, but he doesn't know what to say. Oh, he's like, oh God, this girl's so hot. What do I say? So he waits too long, waits several days, and eventually the girl ends up unmatching him, and she slips through his fingers. Now, what caught my attention about that is, like, that's something that I never see. But do you see that regularly with guys where they just don't know how to open, so they let matches slip through their fingers?
Yeah. So actually what I find is, and that's kind of why I put this together, is that what I find with guys is they will get their match, and then they take so much time thinking on each individual match. So it may take them 10 to 15 minutes just before they send that first text, that, it becomes a chore then. So only 4, like, let's say you pay for unlimited, you have a great profile, you get a bunch of matches, but you only really engage with 4 of them a day, because that's already an hour of your time. And then they get, burnt out by doing this. And so if they could just understand what they should be saying and simplify it, then they can move things forward instead of exhausting themselves and forcing burnout on themselves.
Yeah, see, what I normally see is guys who don't have a problem opening. They just have really shitty openers. And so they'll send an opening, and then girls just never reply back. They never get a response. That's the biggest thing I see. And usually because it goes back to guys just saying, hey, what's up? And hey, they just said they're getting lost in the sauce, because women get, like, they'll get 200 matches for every 5 you might get, right? And some guys out there are like, I only get 1. Fix your fucking pictures, dude. Okay. but women will just get infinitely more matches. So they're just trying to filter out everything while we're trying to make a connection with everybody. They're trying to filter out their options, and they do that by your opening. They're looking at the preview pane and they're going, generic. Oh, this one catches my attention. What's his pictures look like again, and then they'll go back, and that's how they determine whether they're even going to talk to you or not. So that's what I usually see. But do you see that too? Clearly you mentioned that already.
Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely see that. There's a lot. Guys tend to do like the hey, or how's your day? Dude, how's your day? Nonstop. I hear that all the time, and I see that all the time, because one of the things I do with my clients is I actually have them screen share, and we go through their matches. And I actually will help them, depending on if they need it and what level, at what point they're at. I will open for them and then have them practice the rapid fire, because you're going to get these matches. And then what do you say next? And I always find them struggling. And that's what I'm saying. Like, they end up taking 10, 15 minutes just to like kind of figure out the perfect thing. And then sometimes they may get cold feet and then wait a couple days. Yeah. And then by the time they send it, the girl, like, you got to strike while the iron's hot, which I think is so important. But yeah, it's a lot of uncalibrated openers. It really is.
Going back to the one where it's someone can't think of something to say, so they let the match slip through. I see that in reverse. I see women doing that on Bumble a lot, especially out here, out in conservative ranch country. Girls like they love the idea that they have to start the conversation first, because then they're not just getting inundated with creeps, but they're also conservative, and so they're like, but I don't want to make the first move because guys are supposed to do that. And so a lot of women out here they'll match and then they'll just disappear. And you're like, my girlfriend, nurse chick, said that before she met me, when she was on Bumble, she did that. She got to that point and she just didn't know how to open, so she just fucking deleted the app. I'm like, that's hilarious. But yeah. So,
oh, dude, that's exactly what happens. They get overwhelmed. I mean, talking with the girl that I've been with for a while now. When we first met, she had over 1,000 likes in just a couple days. And she was so overwhelmed, she was just going to delete it. And so instead, she handed it off to her gay best friend and said, "Can you please help me?" And I happened to get through with the gay best friend. So,
yeah,
that's the only reason.
He's like,
why
"Oh, I like this guy." You got through with the dick pic, didn't you? That's the only time that would work. So one thing I thought was fascinating is that you actually break down 5 types of openers. Now, this is why I love talking to other dating coaches, because I have never looked that deep into this. So can you tell us what those 5 different types are?
Sure. So let me just pull up my reference guide here from my very beautiful The First Text book. So I break it up in a couple different ways. So we've got curated. Curated, essentially, well, I'll list them out and then I'll kind of like break into what each one is, and then we'll do a couple examples from them. Curated, generalization, trigger, thought-provoking, and then the confident, straightforward. Now, essentially what that would be is the curated is curated to their profile. It's custom to them. Generalization could be, let's say she has a whole bunch of selfie photos and it's like, "Oh, you really love taking selfies, huh?" Like stuff like that. Trigger, saying something that's reverse of like a prompt or something in her bio to spark a reaction. And then thought-provoking, to kind of like push something forward that's more for the guys who are more into like philosophy and things like that, that kind of think on that wavelength. And then the confident, straightforward is more kind of like the asshole who's just like, "Hey, we matched. I know you want me. What are we doing about it?"
Mode 1. Yeah. The trigger one, correct me if I'm wrong. You have a good thing about your book too is you have examples of each one of these, like screenshots from a dating app of you using these. And the trigger one, is it the one where there was a picture of a nurse and she's like doing some kind of selfie, and you were like, meanwhile, all your patients are dying or something like that? Is that the trigger word?
I believe so. Let me just double check if that's not
Because I was like, that's a clever opener. And she actually replied to that. And that's the key, guys. The key is if you can get them to reply, you're usually in. That's the trick, though, is getting them to reply.
Yeah, and that's great. Like with this example, it's her just like dancing in the middle of the hospital with all her stuff on. And I had said
nurses, am I right?
The prompt that she had with it was all fun and games until, and then her dancing, and then I just said, as the patient dies next door.
Right. Which is pretty dark, but it's funny too. It's sort of tongue in cheek. We were joking about that offline about like dark openers. That one I could see it working because it's still kind of funny, you know. And I find nurses have sort of a morbid sense of humor anyway because they deal with some messed up stuff.
Yeah, they're around it all day. So, and that's the thing, when you use dark humor on that, it's definitely good to make sure it's known. Like if you do that and then you have a period at the end, or you don't have any type of smirking emoji to show that you're kidding, it can come across extremely dark, and women are not going to respond to that because it may spike the emotion, but you're not like putting the icing on the cake, so to say.
Yeah, there's some guys out there that are like, oh, no emojis, that's feminine. I'm like, that's nonsense, because it's just another way of expressing what you're trying to say. And if you are legit trying to make a joke and not be morbid, then, a little tongue out wink emoji is like perfect for that. Just to let them know, hey, this is just a joke.
100%. Definitely.
Because otherwise you can't read tone. It's so hard to read tone in text. And so text is so easy to be construed the wrong way. That's one thing I like about Hinge and Bumble is that once you get that first initial text like opener going and she replies, I recommend to guys to send voice messages after that, because both those apps support it. And chicks, man, that really sets you apart from most guys, because most guys aren't doing it. Chicks love hearing your voice. They love hearing that you're a real guy. And when I tell guys to do that, they're like, holy shit. Like chicks really respond well to that. And they'll send me screenshots of chicks going, guys never do this, and that right there is the response you want to get, because you're setting yourself apart.
Yeah.
I've been preaching that for like 3 years from the mountaintops, and I'm surprised that the message still hasn't gotten out on that.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really great point. One thing I do want to say on that, though, is you don't necessarily want to make your first message a voice message. You want to make sure.
I don't think on those apps your first message can be. I think you have to open with text, but
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So you don't think opening with a voice message is a good idea?
Well, no, I don't think so, because you want to make sure that the conversation's flowing first. Like at least just like the 1-2 text, and then responding to I don't know, whatever even if you do happen to ask her how her day was, or even in this example, when she said like, actually, I think everyone survived that shift. Now you go ahead and put the voice in to show that you're a real person and you're serious about actually having this match. But you wouldn't open that way. If I open saying that to her, I don't know if that would hit. It
wouldn't go over as well. Yeah, I mean, I could see why, like, if they did allow voice openers, why it wouldn't go well, because like I've been saying for years now too, is the preview pane situation. If you send a voice message in the preview pane, it doesn't give them anything to look at, so they'll scroll right past it. So that makes sense. One thing where I will say is good to open, not necessarily with a voice message, but with a video message, is which is sort of off topic, but it's related, is social media. If you're going to open with a chick on, say, Instagram or Facebook, slide into their DMs with a video message, because then it's like a virtual cold approach. It's actually really a bold move. A lot of guys I know guys that teach that, and a lot of guys that get really good results with that. So, but you can't send video messages on these dating apps yet.
Yeah, I actually really like that. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's time consuming. And so that's essentially what the first text is all about. It's about
Mhm.
taking that that time that guys are taking nowadays to try and figure out the perfect thing to say and
Yeah.
just throwing it out the window and making it methodical so that you could do it 10, 15 minutes when you're sitting on the toilet in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
But I do really like that. That's probably the best cold approach thing that you could do is a curated message. Hey, Veronica, really love the, I don't know, whatever the eggs
The
casserole that you made the other day. And that
the
was really cool.
the way we teach guys to do that is just keep it even simpler. Just, hey, this is your random Instagram friend. Saw you on my timeline. Thought I'd stop by and say hello. And like that's it. And
Oh,
it's
I kind of like that.
yeah, because then it just gets the conversation started. You don't come across like, hey, I think you're hot and all this stuff, and sending showing pictures of your nipples and stuff. Um, whatever it is guys do these days that they step on their dicks with. But no, it's a simple way of doing it. It's almost like just walking up and starting a conversation on the street. It's very not threatening, and then that usually gets the ball rolling, and then you can move on from there. But yeah, like, man, right now the dating apps haven't caught up with that yet. It's still just texting and voice messages on most of these apps.
But they have updated to the point that you can tell people your vaccination status. So
Oh yeah, that's good.
that is one bad.
That's great. That's great, YouTube. Yeah. So you know who to filter out. Yeah. Okay. Great. That's good. Okay. So we talked about, well, we sort of went through the list, right? Curated, generalization, trigger, thought provoking, confident, straightforward. Now you've also broken it down into a ranking system, which I was
Correct.
like, man, this is super nerd level. I love it. So each one of these 5 things, you broke it down into a ranking system based on 3 different things: skill level, effectiveness, and effort. And some of these I thought was interesting how you rated it, but we can maybe go through some of these. So curated, that's one where you're literally going through her profile and you're looking for something to comment on, right?
Correct.
So it's tailored for her profile. That skill level was what was the ranking on that one?
So curated was a skill level of 1. Anybody can do that.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I don't know if you agree with
Wow.
that, but I
agree. I agree. Most people
Yeah.
can just be perceptive and open with based on something they saw in their profile. Sure.
Mm-hmm. And then with that, the effectiveness, I put it as a 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then the effort, I actually put as a 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can argue on the effort depending on it also with your skill level. As your skill level increases, the effort goes down because you can rapid fire these things a lot faster. But when you're first getting started with this, being perceptive on somebody's profile, not difficult. Does it work? Yes, it works because you are going to be piquing something in their own emotions and about them. People love to talk about themselves. But the effort it takes a lot more to figure out the perfect thing. Because what I teach guys and what I found is that there's typically always one photo prompt, something. There's one thing on somebody's profile that they are most passionate about, either most proud about. I think that there actually may be an example in the book at some point on that where this girl put something about losing weight, and I pointed out to her like, oh, that's like fantastic that you did that, and then she was like immediate response. So it does take more effort to make sure that you find that one, essentially the chink in the armor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's a little bit higher in the effort, but it's not difficult to do. It's just you can't get caught up in the weeds and trying to play that puzzle of figuring out exactly what that chink in the armor is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what guys tend to get caught up in.
Yeah. Just analysis paralysis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So based on your explanation of curated, like that was pretty much my go-to. What I would do that, and the way I would do it was not necessarily comment on something that in her bio that she had written, what I'd like to do is look at her pictures and then try to guess what she was thinking in the moment of one of her pictures. That didn't always work because sometimes I think like Nurse Chick, go to pick on Nurse Chick for a little bit. Like Nurse Chick, like she had, I think 5 pictures and they were all the same basic selfie, right? Like they were just like selfie from here. And there was literally like the same time period. So it wasn't like I could just pick one and guess what she was thinking in the moment. So I think I opened her with like something very generic, but it worked. So, but other people, like there was a gal that I dated for a little bit, and she had this picture where it was a professional picture, and it was like her down by the river, and the way that the photographer had her stand looked like she was, you know, like the cover of a music, you know, CD or something. And so I was like, you look like you're singing a song. What were you singing in that picture? And she was like, oh, I wasn't. I was just, you know, I was just down there getting a photo shoot done. But it worked, you know.
Yeah, those are some of the best, honestly. Like with, you know, even, I mean, one of the other examples I do use in the book is a girl that was just sitting at, I guess somebody took a photo of her sitting at a slot machine at a casino. And so just like tongue in cheek, how much did you win that night? And it's what it does and the importance of this when you are looking at those types of photos where they're doing something interesting, they may be doing a hobby, and you can tell, you can feel the emotion through the photo.
Yeah.
When you go ahead and you make a comment on that, what it does is it pulls them back to that moment. It pulls them back to that memory. And when you're able to do that, that's, I mean, it immediately sets you apart because, I mean, they wouldn't be putting the photo up there if it was a bad memory. Although I did see something the other day.
There's a lot of chicks that pictures of themselves with like their boyfriend's arms cut off and shit though.
Dude, I saw one the other day. It's so funny. I saw one the other day where this girl on Tinder, one of her photos was her and her family smiling in front of a casket at a funeral. And I was just like, what are we doing here?
Are you happy that person died? Like what?
It was bizarre, but that's essentially what you're trying to find is you're trying to find like what makes them tick. And, you know, if you can latch on to a memory that they're sharing without saying, they're not saying anything, it's just an image. But if you can pick up on that and then go ahead and pull out those great emotions that they had during that time, it's a great way to begin a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's what I used to like to do. And you were going back to what you were saying before with like your clients, like sometimes you'll have them send you screenshots and you'll open for them. I'll do that for my clients for a little bit, but just to give them an idea of, you know, how I would do it, right? You know, I'd look at all their profile pictures and, okay, say something like this. Just give them an idea of how it's done. But eventually I sort of want to take those training wheels off and okay, now you do it. No. I'm not giving you one this time. What would you say? What would you say? You know, try to do that a little bit because otherwise, some guys will get too reliant on that. That's one thing. We'll talk about this a little bit with my PDF with 20 dating app openers. I wanted to give guys something simple that they could cut and paste. That doesn't seem cut and paste because that's what I liked about curated was that there's no way it was cut and paste. And a lot of chicks, if they think it's cut and paste, they won't answer you. You know what I mean? Because they're like, that's unoriginal. He probably copies and pastes that to everybody. Some chicks are like that. Other chicks, they're clueless. Yeah. God bless them. But a lot of them, if they think it's cut and paste, they won't even answer you. Right. So like, one of the things I say in my PDF for that is, I really just want you guys to get an idea of openers that can capture a woman's attention in the first 7 words in that preview pane. And then make these your own and then come up with your own things. You know, you got to start making your own stuff so that it doesn't seem like it's cut and paste. You know, it's really sort of the training wheels idea, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely, so with my guys, I typically will do it for them. Not too long. Typically it's like kind of like I take the reins on just the first one. It usually doesn't go past the first one because my threshold is I will help you to get the date. And I just show them how easy it is to make it happen because they end up, you know, I think you used the phrase before, stepping on their own dick. Like that's what a lot of guys end up doing. So when I show them the blueprint and then they actually get the date, whether the date is successful or not does not matter. I express to them, look, I showed you like kind of the framework. Now just copy and paste the ideas, not the words, but the ideas moving forward. And typically they don't have a lot of problems afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Just getting that one date is usually, I think, what most guys struggle with, honestly. Now, that made me think of something, though. You talking about getting the ball rolling to get the date, and which sort of leads into a broader discussion about texting. You mentioned not putting a period at the end of a sentence, right? Just to sort of let them know like you're not serious and something like that, which is sort of a subconscious thing. That just got me thinking about stuff like mirror game and bubble theory and stuff like that. Are you familiar with those things? I don't know if they've ever been branded as that. Probably the first time anyone's ever heard that today. I just thought of those names. Bubble theory and well, mirror game.
I have no idea what you're talking about when you say bubble theory.
Bubble theory. Oh, well, you're going to learn today. You go learn today. No, so you've heard about mirror game though, right? Like match and mirror effort.
Yeah.
Sort of. So like a chick sends you, a 5-word response, you send like a 4-word response back, right? Just like match her investment level, drop it 1 notch lower, right? Because that way, it's a subconscious game we're playing here, guys. And if you're sending paragraphs of text and she's replying with 1 word or one sentence in reply, you're investing too much and she knows it. And that will actually turn a woman off. She needs to be more invested in you. And so you can trigger that by taking your conversation 1 notch lower than hers, right? And so that it goes hand in hand with what I'm calling bubble theory, which is you can see it if you just pull your text messages back, right? Like away from your face, like this. And then you're just looking at the bubble sizes of her text versus your text. If your bubble sizes are bigger than hers, you're fucking up. Like you want hers to be bigger than yours.
And that's kind of the same thing that they had back in the day, talking about like the time to respond. It's kind of similar to that, like showing the lower investment. Now, I have mixed thoughts on it, to be honest. I think that, definitely you do not want to be sending huge paragraphs to, 1 word and just a couple word responses. But when it comes to timing, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it's kind of in the same theory. When it comes to timing, I think if you're available at the time, then just go ahead and respond. Like there's no need to play like time games, because then you're now adding another thing mentally that you have to think about and keep track of when that may be the time she's available to talk.
Right.
And if you're a busy guy and you're doing other things, like you're not going to look at it and then remember to reply later necessarily. And it seems to make things too complex. But I definitely like that whole bubble theory idea.
Well, so what I like about the time idea, because it's the same thing as the match and mirror effort, right? If it takes her 2 hours to reply, take 2 hours and 13 minutes, right? Whatever. But what I like about that, and because I was in this boat, right? When I was learning this stuff, I was the fucking needy texter guy. I was the guy that I would send a text and I would have a fucking anxiety attack waiting for her to reply. Going, when will she reply? Oh God, when is she going to reply? And then it would take 2 hours. And then I'm like, oh, my love, and like, as soon as she replied back, I'm replying. Right. And I think that does send a message to chicks like, well, Jesus Christ, like she's busy with her day, right? She's going about her life and she replies as she can. And then you're just waiting around all fucking day like a loser to reply back immediately. And so what broke me of that habit was, instead of replying back right away, was playing the mirror game and reaching for the timer app instead. And then that just made me text like that naturally, where I'm a busy guy because I found other things to do. I stopped having anxiety about it. I would actually go find things to do, start working on my purpose more. And then it just makes you more of a natural, attractive texter. It's about breaking bad, unattractive habits is the way I look at it. It's not necessarily about playing games,
Hey, when we were talking earlier and I sent you a paragraph about like the recent show I did with the female dating coach or whatever, all you responded with was cool. And I was like, this guy think I'm a loser?
No.
No. I know it's not. I know it's not that, but that's something that guys need to break themselves about. That like there's just you're doing a lot of different things, and that's what you were expressing to me is like confirmed, and then move on.
Yeah.
And guys need to understand that, and then if they can learn how to express themselves that way, they're going to be that much better in the dating market.
Yeah, because really, chicks are more attracted to guys who have that have their own shit going on in their life. They have guys that don't just spend all day waiting for a girl to text them back. They're working on their purpose and stuff. Chicks don't want to be the center of your life, guys. Despite what they might say, they don't. And so,
despite how they act and despite what they say, women do not want to be the center of your life. And that's one of the biggest things that when you get down the relationship road is difficult to navigate, because they will act like they do, but they actually don't. And as soon as you give into that, that's when things go down.
Yeah, they start losing attraction. It's like they're like fucking cats, a cat, like my cat, for instance. I love using her as an analogy because she's the perfect example of this. I'll lay on my couch. Right. I'm working on TikToks or whatever. She comes up and she wants my attention right then. She lays on my chest. She starts, doing the biscuits thing. And I'm like, okay, put my phone down, give her attention. But if I go and try to, she's in the room with, and I just want to go and pick her up right then, she's like, fuck off. And she like runs away. That's how women are, like they want your attention sort of on their time, and you got to sort of let them come and go as they please. And when you do that, then they're like, oh, what's up with this guy? Because like cats, if you ignore cats long enough, they'll come up and show you their butthole. That's same as women. Yeah.
That's an interesting way to put it, but it is 100% true.
Yeah. So let's skip around here. The trigger. The trigger. What's the ranking system on the trigger?
All right, let me just pull that up again. I just want to make sure I'm speaking accurately based on this, because I've got my hard copy of the first text right here.
Can you get that on Amazon or?
No, I actually only sell it as a PDF. This was actually a process I was going through with my publisher just to like test it out, because I think we spoke briefly about this, but I'll just mention it again. I'm kind of putting together what you would call a magnum opus that I'm calling Game Pharaoh. One, because I'm a huge nerd and I love Yu-Gi-Oh! And I just think it fits perfectly, like being the king of games and the king of game. So it's
I don't understand that reference, but so yeah, you are a little bit of a
nerd. That's okay. I'm a huge nerd, and I'm sure a lot of other people will know what I'm talking about, or at least
all the guys in the comments right now, like, Paul, you don't know fucking Yu-Gi-Oh? Fucking old fogey. Yeah.
So with the trigger, I ranked it as a 4 for skill level, because you gotta be calibrated. You could say something that can really, really piss somebody off, and you got to trigger in the right way and understand when, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you could say like the same style of jokes, like as patients are dying next door with a period, and then that's going to hit very much different than as the patients are dying next door with like a laughing emoji.
Right.
So that's why it's like it takes a lot of social calibration. It's not difficult once you understand it, but just take a little bit more. I would say effectiveness as a 4, because what are you trying to do? You need to spark an emotion. Right. And by sparking an emotion in an appropriate fashion, you're most often going to get a response. And then an effort, a 2, depending on how playful you become and how calibrated you become. Because you don't have to think too much to look through somebody's profile and find something funny to say. Mm-hmm. Like I think maybe one of the other trigger examples that I had used was somebody saying like, "Don't go out with me if you're a Trump supporter."
Oh, and that one, yeah,
yeah, and it's like, oh, my dad had golf with him the other day, and
right.
It doesn't have to be real. It doesn't have to be true. but it's like you're saying something that's going to trigger her without offending her. Because it's like my dad did, not me, and I'm not even saying I'm a Trump supporter. I'm
And it's
just sharing
golf.
a
Golf's
story.
innocent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about the putting a laugh emoji. I get triggered by fucking laugh emojis. Have you ever, let me ask you this, okay? Do you post things on Facebook at all?
Not really.
Not really. So I have a Facebook page for the podcast. And if I post something fucking serious on there and then someone does the laugh reaction, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? This is fucking serious. And I get mad for just a half a second. And then I'm like, fuck those guys. But
dude, there's so many times I see that where it's like, I miss you, grandma, like 91 years strong. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. And then people put laugh emojis. And I'm like, what are we doing? I think it's because people are really that dumb and they don't understand what they're doing.
I think there's that. And there's people don't, I think they accidentally hit the laugh because you have to sort of like select it. And I think they accidentally hit that sometimes and they didn't mean to. Because every once in a while I'll call people out. I'm like, what's funny about this, Joe? And then they're like, oh, I didn't mean to hit that. Sorry. It's like, okay. But no, it's just something I thought about, the laugh emoji when it's serious. Like today, I posted a thing of me, my run today. I'm fucking dying. You probably can't tell. I've got the worst fucking head cold, chest cold going on. I caught something on my way back from England and I've just been struggling through it. And, but I still went running today, right? Like no excuses. Went running, ran at a pretty good pace for someone who's fucking dying of English Rona. And I posted a picture of it today and someone fucking did the laugh emoji. I'm like, what's so fucking funny about it? I was dying out there, you bastard. Anyway, yes.
Short rant.
So the laugh emoji might not get you the reaction that you want is all I'm saying on these days.
It's all about like what you're trying to convey. So like, let's say you're saying something that's like dark humor. Well, dark humor paired with a laughing emoji to make sure that the other person understands that it's a joke. That's very important. So selecting the right emoji for the right thing. Like I love some of them, like this one.
Oh yeah, the thinking
like
emoji.
The monocle.
Yeah,
the monocle as well, when it's like, and like, oh dude, you can do them so good depending on like what you're saying. So just pay attention to what you're saying and how it can add flair. You're essentially
if she's wearing like a super low cut showing all the side boobage and you just put, well, that's an interesting blouse with the fucking monocle. Like you're really just that's telling her that you're looking.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
I did one opener I did with a chick that was pretty effective. This chick in one of her pictures had she was like winking at the camera. And I said, like, it was my go-to opener, like pick number 2, whatever. I was like, pick number 2, you're winking at me. I'm like, that's a pretty bold opener. And it was like, oh, well, I'm a bold kind of girl or some shit. It was that, but it worked, it worked. Just finding stuff like that. All right, let's see here. So your example of straightforward in your book is, hey, you with a smirk emoji. And you put that as the effectiveness of a 5. And I highly disagree just with that example anyway, because that sort of goes back to the, hey, how are you? Hey, what's up kind of thing. And, but why am I wrong? Why is that one an effectiveness of 5?
Absolutely. So based on how your profile is set up. Okay. And so that's one of the things that I always tell guys is you want to set up your profile to tell a story. Okay. So like you're starting off with, your best look, whatever, professional photos. Then you're throwing in, some activities, throwing in group photos, things like that. Now, one of the things that I've learned that I find fascinating is I've got 2 photos on my profile that do extremely well. One of them is me sitting with a leather jacket out at a fair, and you can see in the reflection of my glasses the girl taking the photo. And so it's a very subtle thing that if a girl's really looking into your profile and she finds you very attractive, the lead is very hot, she's gonna pick up on. And then I have another photo where it's I'm dressed up as a prisoner, and then I have a girl dressed up as a cop on Halloween, and she's pushing me against the wall, and I'm just like there with like cigarette in the ear, just like whatever. And it's very sexual in nature, and it's very confident in nature. So if your profile is set up appropriately, then this becomes an effectiveness of 5. Now, if you are not at that social calibration point yet, if your profile is not optimized, this is an effectiveness of -3. And so that's one of the things where it's like, giving people different options on how to approach their openers, but it's not going to be successful for you until you're at that stage.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I would agree with that then. It's funny because I mentioned like I probably opened with Nurse Chick with something generic, and I can't remember because it's like we've been dating for like 2 years now. I got rid of I met her on Match and got rid of that profile a while back, but I'm like 99% sure I opened her with just hey, you look like trouble, because I couldn't think of anything else to say. But I was just like, fuck it, I'll just open her with this. Seemed to work okay, which is that would go into the confident, straightforward. Would you say, or no?
It would. I actually do mention that a little bit. I talk about that hate trouble because that is incredibly played out, and girls, like a lot of them at least, they recognize that now. So if you say hate trouble,
I think that's a Rich Cooperism. Like I think he says that in his book. I think even like, oh, you look like trouble or something. And he's got 200,000 subscribers of dudes out there just following everything he does, and it gets
and I think it actually began. I don't know where it necessarily 100% began, but I think it may have began with Playing with Fire. So I know Alex from Playing with Fire.
Bitch. Yeah.
I actually like him, but everybody's allowed to have their opinions.
I don't know the guy. I just, I'm in Rule 0, and it's, Rule 0 for life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%. I know that he had pushed it out a lot for a long time. And I just think that a bunch of guys that were struggling with dating, like a bunch of like nerdy, quirky guys around the world, like ended up using it. And it just completely oversaturated the market. And so that's why I like the smirk emoji. Like I had never seen somebody use the smirk emoji in that fashion before. Because it's a very cocky type of thing to send. And I'll mix it up too. Like if you really think the lead's hot or you don't care, you can even just say, "Hey, sexy," with a smirk face. You can say, and I think I may have some examples depending on what the type of girl is. You could say like, "Howdy, cowgirl," with like a smirk face if she's dressed in that type of attire.
That's literally every girl out here where I'm at.
That's a good place to be.
Hey, I save a horse. You know what I mean? Save a horse, ride a cowgirl. No, that's not how the song goes. Anyway,
cowboy.
Yeah. Oh, they're riding me. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Save a horse, ride a cowboy.
All right. So we talked about curated. We talked about the confident, straightforward. Let's maybe talk about one more, and then maybe we could wrap this up. We talked about my PDF openers and stuff. So we talked about trigger too, didn't we? What about generalization? Generalization. What's the ranking on that one?
Yeah. So let me just pull it up again to make sure I'm not misquoting myself on how I break it down. I mean, as you said, I do take a very analytical approach to it in this book here.
Yeah.
Breaking everything down.
I love this though. I love guys that really like get into it and they're like, this is why it works. And this is this is why the gear goes here and you guys squirt the oil here, because it's like, once you understand the game and you start applying it, you start seeing like, man, it works on, not all women, but it works on like a good majority of them. And it can be almost like clockwork. When you do an opener and you see a response, you're like, boom, I'm going to run the playbook, and the playbook is like boom, 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 boom. And it just goes literally like that. And whereas, when I was in high school, I was always pretty good with girls, in high school and my Navy days, and then I got married and everything went to hell. But a lot of what I was doing back then, though, was sort of trial and error and, law of averages. And it wasn't like applied game. You know what I mean? And then once I started learning this stuff, I was like, holy shit, like this is like shooting fish in a barrel. Whereas a lot of it was sort of, luck. Whereas guys are like, oh, I got lucky. That's why, because you have no game. You have no game. And, a law of averages, you'll eventually get laid. But when you learn some of this stuff, there's a reason why it works. And a lot of it goes into psychology, so.
Yeah. And I think that's so important. Like we had talked before about the reverse engineering of why things are working out for us. And I think that's so important. And that's what I kind of want to give to people is I've gone through a struggle that you may be going through right now. And then if I can reverse engineer the problem that we were both going through, that you may be going through now and I went through before, if I can give you a blueprint, I want to get you there in a fraction of the time it took me to figure it out.
Yeah, that's why working with a coach is helpful, because a lot of us have been there. Like I tell my story on the podcast all the time. I got married, just let myself go, ended up back on the dating circuit, was fat and out of shape, had no game, forgot even how to talk to chicks, forgot how to make moves on chicks. And it was just like I had to learn everything over again. And it was a struggle. And I don't want other guys to have to struggle like I did, But I'm also one of those guys too that I'm like, I'm going to fucking figure this out. There's got to be an answer to this. And I'm not one of those guys that are like in the MGTOW space where there's like, well, stats don't lie. Like stats are bullshit, nerd. Get the fuck out there and go talk to some chicks,
What's interesting before we get into the ranking on that. What's interesting is when I was talking to that female dating coach and doing the interview with her and diving into how she does things, I had asked her, what really are women looking for? And
I think,
the main thing that she said was just confidence. It's just confidence. We don't need 6 feet. We don't need 6 figures. We don't need 6-pack abs. It's really confidence, because we just need to know that you can be the leader of this relationship and potential family.
That's what I love about Dr. Robert Glover's books, like Dating Essentials for Men. I've read that like a dozen times, and that's essentially what he talks about, right? Now, the problem with asking most women, not necessarily dating coaches, because certain female dating coaches, once they've had some clients, they understand, the actual dynamics of it. Some of them do anyway. Some are much better than others. And, but if you ask just a standard girl on the street, what do you want? A lot of times what they'll do is they'll give you what they want in a long-term relationship, right? They'll give you all the beta comfort stuff, the stuff that, I want you to, lavish me with chocolates and take me out on fine dining stuff and whatever, like hold me on the couch at night. We can't lead with that. You can't lead with that. You know what I mean? I
don't know. Have you ever tried?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
You start leading with that nice guy shit, it doesn't work. And the thing is, if women were really honest with guys, what they would find out is what I learned from Dr. Glover is that women don't fuck a guy that they get to know. They get to know a guy they want to fuck. So it really comes down to sexual attraction at first, getting them revved up that way. And then you do the beta comfort shit after you've gone into a long-term relationship, after she's earned it. But if you lead with that stuff, like it comes off as creepy to women, So most women on the street will give you bad advice. They'll say, "Oh no, you got to do all this lovey-dovey shit." No, you don't. Like that's the opposite of how women are wired. They need the sexual attraction first, then the beta comfort on top of that. Like that's just biology. Unfortunately, it's very counterintuitive to everything that we've been taught growing up, though. But some of us had to learn the hard way. So going back to we were going to talk about the effectiveness and the rating.
Yeah, talking about Yeah, talking about generalization. So I actually kind of put generalization across the board as a 3 in
Okay.
that ranking of 5. So skill level 3, effectiveness 3, effort 3. The reason why I say that is that you got to make sure that that generalization is calibrated. So you don't need to be a master understander of psychology to make it work.
Yeah.
But you do need to have at least a little bit of understanding. The effectiveness, I'd say it's a 3 because sometimes when you put somebody in a box, especially when you put women in a box, they may get offended, and that's why it's like it works a lot, but there's plenty of times it doesn't because you don't know exactly what you're working with. And then an effort, I would say, is a 3 because essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to see a theme in her profile. And sometimes that's not always the easiest thing to do. Obviously, if it's all selfies, you can play on that. But it's not
You love
always
taking
like,
selfies, don't you? Yeah.
yeah. But sometimes it's not always that simple, but there is a theme.
Yeah.
And so taking the time to think about, identify, and then use that theme in a clever response, it can take a little bit more time. But it's not an exhaustive amount of time.
Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. All right, man. I think that's all the questions I have about this stuff. Where can people find your PDF?
Absolutely. So I will give you an affiliate link, and we will go ahead and put that down in the description. So give you a cut for anybody who wants to go ahead and purchase it.
Shekels.
Money.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So you can go ahead and find the book down below. Guys, it's really, when you think about it, it is a guide for you. It is like one of those tool books that you pull out when you need it. And it's not as exhaustive as something like The Rational Male. It really isn't. It's pretty short, but it's concise to the point, and it's broken out in analytics, which I think is very helpful for a lot of guys. So it's really just like your tool book to pull out when you're going ahead and getting out there on the dating apps. So we'll go ahead and have that down below. And then outside of that, you can find me on Instagram at the Hudsman. That's the best place to reach me. You can go ahead and book coaching with me there. You can even just ask me random questions. I'm always happy to help. And then I've got a lot of other stuff cooking right now that I'll be excited to share in the future. I do have another broadcast that I do called Men of Now, which I do with a lot of other guys. It's similar to Rule Zero.
I've been on that.
Yeah, you have. It's just, it's not as cool as Rule Zero, and I don't have a championship belt yet.
You don't have a world manosphere title for your show. Yes.
That I do not. Yeah. But we do a lot of other interesting stuff there as well, and we branch out and don't always talk about like the men-women thing. We've got a bunch of different people that come on. We got a guy who's a sobriety coach, so he helps guys with all types of different addictions. We've got guys that are entrepreneurs, guys that are investors, crypto space. One of the guys is involved with luxury cars, all types of stuff. It's really exciting, and it's been a lot of fun. So
very cool. I did think of one more question. So you actually downloaded my PDF with my canned openers. Like I said, I think I said it earlier, like I'm actually not a fan of canned openers, right? I'm making this available, but really if you read the PDF, I explain why I don't like canned openers and how you sort of want to make this stuff more of your own, but it's a good stepping stone. What are your thoughts on canned openers in general?
So it depends. So that's one of the things that I see a lot of guys have trouble with, is that once we get started, we will build their profile. They've got their professional photos. They've got that perfect profile, all the perfect prompts, and they're excited. And then they go ahead and they get their unlimited swipes. And then they go ham. And then they get overwhelmed. And then they start using canned openers, copy and paste. It's not the route you want to go. I don't think I think certain canned openers are okay. depending, like, so for example, let's say I've got 15 matches that I've got to sort through on a given day. I'm going to go ahead and maybe for 5, 6, 7 of them, I may do just like a hey you with a smirk face, because to me, I'm not hyper interested in them, and I don't necessarily care where this interaction goes, but at least I'm doing something and striking while the iron is hot.
Mm-hmm.
But then for a lot of them, and if you're actually being serious about this, you can't be using canned openers because it comes across inauthentic. Like even if I would use that like cocky type of approach with one girl, I may do hey you with a smirk face, and then the other one, as I was saying with like the cowgirl, I may do howdy cowgirl and then use the cowgirl smiley face. Like there's different ways you can take even just the simplest things and change them a little bit. And I think that's incredibly important to do, because if you just copy and paste, then you essentially yourself are just a robot. And I just think it's not great, because essentially dating apps are a filtering system. It's a filtering system for you to find people that you're actually compatible with. And so if you start acting like a robot, you're not even going to be filtering for the people you're going to get along with.
Yeah. Yeah, I think now some of these it's literally just about starting the conversation. And then if you don't know how to have a conversation, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. You know, like you could start this off, but you need to be able to banter and then close. You know, you need to be able to set that definite date. So you know,
and that's where you know, people like me and other coaches in the space, that's where we come in. I mean, one thing that I preach a lot is the 5 for 5, where no more than 5 texts from you and no more than 5 texts from her before you guys get on a video call and you actually move everything forward and set that first date together. And I think that's incredibly important to pay attention to.
Yeah. Now, just to give the guys an example of one of the openers that's in this list. Let me know what you think about this one. But it better be positive or this episode's never going to air. Just kidding. Okay, so this one says, let's rob a bank. I need you to be a getaway driver. Are you in? That one, like the idea behind that, and I know guys that have used this one a bunch, and that almost always sparks an interest, because it's just sort of a fun. Obviously, it's stupid. No one's really robbing a bank, and chicks are always like, "Oh yeah, I'm totally in." What are your thoughts on that one?
So I'm going to dive into it a little bit. My thoughts, it's stupid. I hate that because I've heard it too many times in the space.
Wow, you're gone. You are done. No, it's good.
But it actually really is not that bad. I just personally think it's played out, but I only think it's played out because I have heard it for so long. But it's the message behind what you're saying. So it could be anything. What you're doing is you're painting a picture, you're painting an adventure to her. You're giving her where actually is a woman's G spot?
Well, it's actually right under, if you go up and under, right? It's sort of the it's like the roof of the mouth.
I think you know where I'm going.
Basically, you're saying like it's in her head.
Imagination. It's the imagination. That is how you attract women and turn on women, is their imagination. And so
you gotta get your finger into their imagination, and then you gotta press. It's that soft spot that's like in the back of your throat right there. That's what you're feeling for her imagination.
Oh, dude, you crack me up. But you understand what I'm saying, and that's what you're doing when you're talking about robbing the bank. It's like you and me, Bonnie and Clyde. And she's painting a picture and imagining what it would actually be like to do this with you. And obviously, like, you know, you typically get a positive response from it, just because like they're riding the roller coaster of the sentences. And then when they get to the end, they're like, oh, okay, this is all like a joke.
Yeah.
But that was really cool. That was really cool to experience. So if you create some type of format of that innovative in whatever type of way, I don't have something right off the top of my head. But if you use that format, that's what sparks the emotions. That's what sparks the conversation. It's absolutely fantastic when you go about it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing that guys need to understand too is that while all of us are just like overly consuming this fucking dating content on a daily basis, so we have this like a lot of chicks out there aren't consuming this shit on a daily basis and they haven't heard it, you know? So it still works. It's not on the level of you look like trouble. So yeah. But that's the idea. And really the PDF talks about that too, right? Like take some of these, use it as an idea, but make something unique to like that might be your go-to opener. You know what I mean? So, all right, brother, this has been a fun conversation. I'll let you have the rest of your evening back. I'll post links to all this stuff in the description.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, man.
Huds, thanks for joining me, man. You know, you're welcome back anytime. I always like talking with you, and the way you've got this broken down, the different methods of opening conversations, it's so nerdy. I absolutely love it. I'm only mildly offended that you don't like my canned openers. But then again, I don't like my canned openers. I am not a fan of canned openers. Guys, if you get the free PDF with 20 dating app openers when you sign up for my email list, just read it. I don't know if you guys heard that. My dog was shaking over there. We're professional podcasters, okay? Quiet down. So if you guys get that PDF, you'll find that I straight up tell you in that PDF that relying on canned openers is not a good idea. You really want to make these your own, okay? It's all about giving you ideas to work with on how to be more engaging when you start a conversation. It's not designed for you to copy and paste all the time. Okay? Okay, cool. And also get the Huds book. The link's down in the description. That will help you out as well if you guys are really struggling with getting conversations going on dating apps. All right? All right, guys, if you guys haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. Thanks to everybody that's left a comment. And if you are listening on audio, give us a 5-star review. It really does help more than you know. That's all I have this week, guys. We will see you Wednesday for the live stream.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.